I'm gonna say last night I pulled up to your hood. Hey, what's the deal? What's the deal? Give y'all a little time to get up in here. Cause we streaming today. We've been streaming all morning. Yeah. We've been streaming all morning, man. Give y'all a little time to get up in here, man. We about to check out some of this content, man, with some of these people that was really out here doing it. You know, a lot of these YouTubers act like, you know what I'm saying, they was really pushing that shit. And I wonder why I don't see them on none of these channels telling their story. But now we about to just watch some content of different people, you know what I'm saying, telling their story on how they was kingpins and how they was recognized as kingpins, how they used to smuggle their drugs in, you know what I'm saying, how they had plugs and shit from overseas and shit. So y'all hit that like button for me, bro. Don't be no hater. If you ain't coming here to support the content, you can keep it pushing. Cause we down, so I don't need you over here taking up no space. I'm glad I found this channel too, though. Just for shit. You know, this is my type of shit that I like to hear. You know what I'm telling you? It ain't like I'm trying to be like them or no shit like that. But you know what I'm saying? I came from that lifestyle, man. So you know what I'm saying? I like to hear people lifestyles, you know what I'm saying? I like to hear people that's just like mine or that live the lifestyle that I live. You know what I'm telling you? And it's not to compare stories or no shit like that. Nah, we ain't comparing stories. I just want to hear them brother stories. You know what I'm telling you? Because I know one day my story is going to be told. You know what I'm telling you? Yeah, my stories to be told. So you know what I'm saying? Like I say, I ain't doing this shit to compare my story to their story. I'm just listening to this shit just to hear their story. Yeah, that's all. So like I say, man, I'm glad that I really found this channel because it seemed like some of these stories are interesting. And they do have the whole interviews on this motherfucker to where we not looking at the interview. We just looking like a little clip of shit that they give a nigga. Well, just a little clip of shit. But let me go ahead and pull up the channel right now. Y'all give me a little minute. And what I'm pulling up right now, this person supposed to be a car thief. Yeah, he supposed to be a notorious. Yeah, what I'm pulling up right now is this person supposed to be a notorious car thief. You know what I'm saying? This shit like 17 minutes long, but shit. This just me streaming some shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, this shit like 17 minutes long, so let me share the screen real quick. You know what I'm saying? He supposed to be a notorious car thief. Cooperated with the police. So shit, let's see why he snitched.
We did a month. That's another thing people aren't going to believe. Like, did you get good time?
Why he snitched.
No, because I had no record and it was considered petty. It was receiving stolen property. That's what I'm saying. They didn't get me for
They didn't get you on selling the. They didn't get you on selling the cars.
They got me for receiving stolen property. If people would read, then people would see they got me for receiving. If they would have got me for the whole 7 years, I'd probably be under the,
No, obviously, obviously.
But I didn't have no history of it or nothing. I don't have no history. I didn't have no history of nothing.
So who the 51 cars were these?
That's that they just gave me. They don't even know. That's that somebody probably told them that it was me. They didn't have no proof.
So that wasn't like them in a controlled.
No.
No.
That was just that was just me saying, all right, I plead guilty. That's what that was. So my friends can go. So my friends can walk. I could have beat that. My lawyer told me I could have beat that.
So it was basically just a rat or somebody that was cooperating, saying he stole 51 cars?
No, they got 51 cars, but not from me. They just charged me with all 51 because I was the head of the organization, because I was the head. So they didn't have me getting in and out the cars because I didn't do that. It don't even say that in the paperwork. None of that say that. Right. They just wanted to scare me up to where I plead guilty. That's it. I could have beat it and walked. But I had other friends that I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just take it. I'm gonna take the.
So you were sentenced to 30 days?
I wasn't sentenced to. Is what I'm saying. I did 30 days in jail, paid the bill, got out, went to court.
And what happened at court?
I got 4 years probation.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, yeah, you should have just said that on the episode. Obviously.
So you
I got probation for.
Right, that's cool.
What was what did you plead guilty to?
We didn't heard enough. So shit, he got charged with receiving stolen goods. Okay, we know that. Let's see real quick. Yeah, so he got charged with receiving stolen goods. All right, so let's go on to something different because we ain't about to be watching the whole shit. Some of this shit you can just hear, and you ain't gotta watch the whole shit. All right, come on. We about to listen to this one right here.
I said, I'm here. He says, just wait. And sure enough, boom. Bulletproof Escalade. Yeah. Black. Rolled down the window, get in the car.
He supposed to be one of the leaders.
They do the hit and no one's ever going to know.
So you're prepared to die?
I was prepared at that point. I was in my car, parked at the Jack in the Box to cross over, and I was like, what do I do? Like, I can only take so many Xanax, right? You like, okay, I'll take this Xanax. By the time I get across the border, I'm going to have a margarita if I'm still alive, and at least I'll die in peace, right? So that was my mind, and I tell it in the book, like, what if I just turn around and just drive away? And I'm thinking to myself, you idiot, Hanson, you got yourself into it. Cross that border and be a man, right?
Yeah.
That's what I did, Johnny. Because at the end of the day, I was the one responsible for it.
Wow. Yeah, so you went and you drove down to that little town, that little beach town.
Got picked up, and I remember we had this entourage. Man, it was the coolest thing. I haven't had an entourage like that since the USC football days.
That's wild.
We had, it felt like officers, but these weren't officers. These were sicarios. And I remember they were on the walkie-talkie, and they radioed. And Porto Nuevo, Numero Uno, which is like the number one, right when you get in. It's right on the corner.
Yeah.
And he had the place shut down. It was a Monday. The whole town was deserted.
Yeah.
He had his Sicarios. I finally introduced himself, and I was so nervous.
Yeah.
You know, I showed him my ID, like, hey, this is me. This is what we do, right? Like, hey, I'm not running here. Here's my address. Like, I wanted to be honorable. Like, just so he knows. But he already knew who I was. Come on, he had all that information. You know, they could get anything.
Help save lives. Donate plasma today. CSL Plasma. Do the amazing.
Make your browser fast.
Come on, y'all. With these goddamn commercials.
So we sat down, and I had to tell him, Johnny. And I'm not going to lie. I thought for sure he's going to be like, this guy's a bullshitter. But
well, for a second, though, I mean, from the outside looking in, I know it was terrifying at the time, but of the $1.5 or $2 million of his money that got lost through this degenerate gambler who was trying to launder it, how much of it was profit? Most of it.
True.
Do you know what I mean? How much was he really out? 50 grand?
At the end of the day, yeah.
Like, it's nothing. It's especially back then, it's literally like $1.
Yeah, for a guy like that.
He had dozens of guys like you all over the world doing $1 million deals every day.
Every day. And you got to look at it. I was a lot more valuable to him than being dead, right? Like,
100%.
Look at what I was able to do for him.
Right. How much money had you returned him already up to that point?
Exactly.
Millions and millions of dollars.
You know, I dropped off probably 10 million. No, about 5 million.
Right.
As of before even getting involved in this drug game.
Right.
I'm just talking, helping him pick up clean money, and he's sending me wires from Mexico to Costa Rica to pay my offices. You know what I mean? So it's just like all this money that he already made millions in Australia. He was already up. He was already there.
But, you know, I get it. These guys.
But you can't look at it like that, right?
They don't look at it like that.
But I don't think you and I could too, because if you and I go in an agreement and I tell you I'm going to sell you that book and I'm going to sell it for this price, I expect you to pay me that price, right? Because that's how I look at it. I'm not going to say I got that book for 15, but I sold it for 30, but you're only out $15. You can't look at it like that, because we went into a business agreement.
Yeah.
Kind of like the same agreement we went into with this Robin Hood, the money launderer. Like he can't look at it like, oh, look at all this money you're making off of gambling, because that's what he thought it was, right? Like, that's not how you look at it.
Well, he clearly looked at it like
it was
he
business.
could afford to lose it
for sure,
and you were going to make it back, and he needed guys like you.
Yeah,
because
I was a soldier.
Was he mad? Like, how did he give out his energy?
No, the energy was actually, it was like calm. That's what kind of scared me.
Right.
And he told me, he's like, you're not working anymore for 2 years. You're taking off. He goes, that guy's going to cause problems. He says, lay low. And he was so calm about it. Like, I'm thinking, fuck, I got to get this money back from him. I'm panicking, right? And he's so calm about it. And that's what scared me, because that shows how powerful this guy is. He's not worried about, this is peanuts to him.
So explain how he fit into the larger organization. This is fascinating.
Explain how I did or he did.
Like I say, man, we ain't gonna watch all of this. We just watch the skits. Little skits. We ain't about to watch all this shit, because there's so much shit that we can watch. Really, basically, just showing y'all the channel to where y'all can go look at this shit.
Did you ever have to remove somebody who was like a friend that you got an order to remove, or did you have autonomy to decide? Were you eventually making those decisions?
I was the one more making the decisions. I didn't have to remove none of my friends until I was like on the SNY side, when I did some stabbings.
What's SNY?
SNY is what you call a sensitive need yard. And that was when I got removed and went to the SNY yard. And even then, I joined the prison gang and started politicking. And I honestly did more violence on the SNY yard than I ever did on the main line. I probably beat up 13 people and stabbed 3 on the SNY. On the main line, I didn't even stab nobody.
Yeah, I've heard somebody was in here on a previous episode. They said basically SNY yards were created for, like, you know, the child molesters, the people with bad paperwork, right? The snitches, gang dropouts. But so many from the main line dropped out that now the SNY yard has become the mainline yard because you got so many bad dudes, so many gangbangers that it's just the problem is just transferred now.
Yeah,
that's fascinating.
Yeah, we created our own gangs. Well, they were created before I even got there, but they're far more dangerous. Like I'd see a removal twice a year, 2 from the Southerners, 1 from us on the mainline at a given time, maybe 1 riot. Most of the time, it's respect levels and diplomacies because we go to war, we're going to war. SNY yard, your neighbor don't like you, I'm going to sharpen the whip and I'm going to stab him tomorrow morning for breakfast. Who's he going to answer to? Who's going to put him in his place? We don't answer to nobody. Everything is, hey, I'm going to kill you if I want to, or you're going to do what I say. If you don't respect me, I'll blast you whenever I want. A lot of anarchy on the SNY yards that make it a hell of a lot harder to survive in. Right. But that was the only time I had to remove friends. Norteño politics, just because I called him my brother and because we're Northern Structure and we're from the same organization, doesn't really mean he's my brother. It's just a term that we use, a term of endearment to show him like, hey, bro, we're one and the same. We believe in the same thing. We represent the same cause. We're part of the same struggle. We're brothers in that aspect. But you'll kill me just as fast as I'll kill you. So why should I have any love and support for you as a brother? Brotherly love doesn't exist. It's just a term that we use to promote unity. That's all it is.
Were you amongst your gang, your car, were you considered short time with 15 years? Or did a lot of the cats have less? Or were you around most people with life?
I was around most people with life. And that was probably some of the best training that I ever had because lifers that are involved in prison gang politics, they're more humble because you can't get them to react. But when they do, they're out for murder because they ain't got nothing to lose. So I'm getting educated by people that are doing life without the possibility of parole that are teaching me like, look, man, you got power. You're a young kid with power. Do something right with it. Don't be abusive with it. Don't be like the NF members we heard about that are hermits, that went bandidos and renegades and, disassociated from the gang and are considered dropouts. Do something right. Do your investigative work. Make sure you're not killing your people just to kill your people. They had a different perspective about life because they had life. Yeah. Somebody like me that has 15 years, I was like, bro, I ain't got nothing to lose. I can catch another 10 years. So what? I'll kill this fool, I'll stab him and catch another 10 years. I'm still young. So that's how I was young and ambitious, but I was overly ambitious where I overstepped my boundaries all the time. Once my rank started looking better and I had more years of experience on my belt, dude, the power got bigger and the power got more. The influence got more to the point I was like, bro, you can't tell me nothing, or I don't care what you say. I'm the authority in charge. I have the final say. So if you don't like it, I'll blast you too. That's when it got worse for me. I just forgot everything that I was ever taught.
Okay, so tell us about going to those private prisons.
Man, bro, it was like Disneyland, to be honest with you. We got there, right? I got there in 2008. First thing that happened, we were segregated. They accidentally popped the doors, and we went to war with the Southsiders. We left one brain dead or brain damaged, but they left like 6 of us in the hospital. The administration there realized that we can't get along, so they kept us segregated. But we're talking about staff that had no knowledge of our gangs. They were just like private security, somebody you would hire at a birthday event or something, and they had like one little can of spray, and that was it. Mostly women, and we were able to knock these women, and we had maybe 7 women on our payroll, bringing us drugs, bringing us phones. We were having sex with them in the cells. Yeah. We were living good. We made money monthly off those facilities, and I mean monthly, I mean like the last one I can remember, we made like 14 grand a month off these staff.
Just bringing in balloons.
Bringing in quarter ounces, zips. There was this weird thing, like they let us get packages, right? And they would never scrutinize our packages. So I had a friend, my neighbor, his name was Damage. I'll never forget it. Damage from Vallejo. And he was from San Jose. And he goes, hey, my brother works from GameStop. And I'm like, I didn't know what GameStop was. And I was like, and he goes, I can get an Xbox sent in here. I can gut it out and put like 10 cell phones in it. I was like, what do you need? He's like, I just need a cell phone to call him. So I give him a cell phone. He calls his brother. About 2 weeks later, he gets called. The package just comes, and I'm staring at the box like, oh, they're gonna bust it. They gave him the Xbox. He walked right in the cell, walked behind him. He unscrewed it. We had 10 cell phones with 10 chargers. Didn't have to pay nobody. the legal system out there, they don't scrutinize your legal mail. They don't open it and check it for you. Oh, hey, can you sign this as legal documents? You sign it, they give you the envelope. Dude, we had heroin and crystal meth coming through legal documents like every month. There was a female CEO that we used to run a train on. She was like, I don't know, maybe 60 years old, dude. She was old.
Like, said I used to run a train on the CEO that was
bringing zips of heroin, like nothing. She was in love with like one of our homies, and so he would just have to bang her out in a day. Yeah. There was no supervision. One camera that faced the whole room, and the CEOs can literally walk in their cells, and we can just be in there having sex all day. So it was just a field day. We made so much money. We got to Oklahoma.
Man, why'd you have to leave? Why'd they ship you out?
Because they were bringing more Northerners from California. So that was like the first stop was Arizona. So those of us that been here 8 months to a year, we got transferred to Oklahoma. And then from Oklahoma, you would go to Mississippi. If they needed more room. California was becoming overpopulated. And so when I got to Oklahoma, same thing. The female CEOs there were just like giving it up to inmates. Some of them didn't even want the money. They just wanted to have sexual affairs with some dude they thought was handsome. And I was seeing women fall in love, women getting married to these guys. I've had homies that got married to some of these staff, and dude, it was just a free for all. We had so much drugs. It was just like we were giving it out to people. Like, here, man, here's a 8-ball from the streets. Like, here, you can have it for $50. Give me $50, JPay or something. We were balling out of control. That prison. That prison was no form of discipline, no form of correction. We all became like big time drug dealers. I literally I left Oklahoma for that weapons charge. I got transferred to SAT-F with like maybe like $4,000 to $5,000 on my books just off money I made, not money that I created for the banks there. Right. That's how we were balling.
So it was all private prisons in America are almost like prisons in Mexico. Like everything goes.
Everything goes on. We weren't like Mexico, like, you get guns and Uzis and grenades in Mexico, but over here it was just anything went.
And is that because they're private, so they need to make money, so they they staff it the least, and they have the least amount of security to keep their costs down, right?
I'm not sure what these private corporations were for. Yeah. I know there's a lot of profit that could be made by creating, new facilities for inmates. But like I said, it was just, you got one compound, and each compound has 3 buildings, and in those 3 buildings you had 5 pods. One of them would be ad seg, and you have 1 cop per pod. Yeah. And I'm seriously, they walk around with a little pepper spray, some keys, they open your doors once an hour, and they literally are given a chair just like this, sit at the end of the pod, and they just watch you. They just babysit. So a lot of these women were.
All right, we got 8 minutes of that, man. That shit was funny though. It was in private prisons, nigga, getting it in, making $14,000 of money in some of them, having sex with the CEOs and shit.
Ross Ulbricht is finally free after serving 11 and a half years in prison. He was given a full and unconditional pardon by President Donald Trump a day after he took office last week. This is one of the most followed and controversial criminal cases of the last 15 years. The federal government and the Supreme Court call Ulbricht an unabashed drug kingpin. Libertarians call him a freedom fighter, and most people in the middle, like me, think he was just a kid who got f***ed by the system. And apparently, Donald Trump did too. In case you haven't heard of Ross Ulbricht, he was one of the alleged founders of the Silk Road underground website that operated online from 2011 to 2013. According to law enforcement, Silk Road was the most sophisticated and extensive criminal marketplace on the internet, best known for sales of illicit drugs. In just over 2 years of operation, it's estimated that over $200 million in drug sales were conducted on the website. This thing was like an online open-air drug market. Imagine Skid Row meets Amazon.com. And one of the biggest controversies surrounding the case were the alleged murder-for-hire plots conducted at the behest of Ulbricht. I remember very clearly when that case was going on, reading the paper and thinking, wow, this white boy is kind of a mad genius and also maybe a psychopath. I was taking the government's word for it, like a lot of people did back then. Ross took his case to trial and was found guilty on 7 charges, all related to drug trafficking and money laundering, nothing to do with the supposed murder plots. And the judge still sentenced him to life in prison plus 40 years. That's decades more than they gave El Chapo. That's what we in the business call getting hung. They made an example out of that kid. A sentence like that has nothing to do with justice or retribution for victims or their families, because there were no victims. There were no murders in this case. They never even located the supposed targets of these murder-for-hire plots. And in fact, by 2018, those charges had been dropped. But still, they upheld the sentence, and they gave Ross Ulbricht basically everything but the death penalty. Yes, a few people did die from overdoses who bought drugs off of the website, and that's very sad. But does that warrant a life sentence? Donald Trump didn't think so, and had this to say about the U.S. attorney and the judge involved in Ross's case. He said, quote, "The scum that worked to convict him were some of the same lunatics who were involved in the modern day weaponization of the government against me." And whatever you think about Donald Trump, scum is the appropriate adjective to ascribe to someone who would hand down a sentence like that in a case where, just like so many in the federal system, it was illegally and unconstitutionally manufactured by the prosecution. Let's dive into who Ross Ulbricht is, the details of the case and of Silk Road, and why it has become a flashpoint for more and more Americans who are decrying the abuse of power by the criminal justice system. And as always, do us a quick favor, like the video, leave a comment, and if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel. All right, let's get into it.
Searching for a reliable used coupe? Shop the area's best selection of affordable vehicles at unbeatable prices. Want a vehicle with low mileage? We have a wide selection in stock and ready for delivery. Buy with peace of mind with the multi-point inspection, a free vehicle history report, and a limited time warranty. Visit us online or stop by our dealership today to discover incredible savings across our entire inventory.
Yeah, what happened?
Ross Ulbricht was ahead of his time, like most brainiacs and good business people are. By all accounts, he was a nice middle-class kid who grew up in Austin, Texas, got a full academic scholarship, and then achieved a master's degree in engineering. While he was still in college, he became interested in libertarian political philosophy. Now, this is important because it led him to develop Silk Road later on down the line. Libertarians believe in very limited government intervention and a truly free society and a free economy based off of maximizing individual choice. And one of the major libertarian causes that unites both right and left-wing people is their condemnation of the war on drugs. Nothing is more antithetical to the concepts of freedom from tyranny and individual choice than spending billions of dollars a year to incarcerate people for using and for selling drugs, like what America does. Another big libertarian issue is the U.S. debt and the existence of the Federal Reserve and what's known as the fiat money system, which is the global economic system we live in currently, where a country's central bank, which in our case is the Federal Reserve, forces their citizens to use one currency that they can print out of thin air, causing this spiral of never-ending inflation, wars, and a gigantic, unaccountable government. Does any of this look or sound familiar to you? And one of the solutions to this fiat system is, of course, Bitcoin, because it's decentralized, scarce, and no government or hierarchy can control it. Ross Ulbricht created Silk Road partly as a solution to this system. Silk Road was an e-commerce platform that allowed people to freely buy and sell whatever. And yes, most of it was drugs, and much of it was paid for with Bitcoin. And what's so fascinating to me about Silk Road is that I think it's a look into the future. 50 years from now, 100 years from now, all drugs are going to be legal, even if they're regulated in some fashion. And we'll be able to use a doctor's note to order heroin, cocaine, speed, whatever. And we'll be doing it with coins and blockchain backed and powered by Bitcoin. So Silk Road was almost like this futuristic experiment of what society will probably look like in the near term. But as they say, the first man over the hill gets the arrows. The government hates when you challenge them, especially in the feds. That's the reason they sentence you to triple or quadruple the penalty when you take your case all the way to trial and lose. How dare you stand up to them, even if it's your constitutional right? That's the implied message. They want you to take a plea and beg for mercy. It's very sinister when you think about it. There's something very evil about a system like that. And of course, they'll tell you the reason they do it is because the criminal justice system is bogged down with cases. And so giving out plea deals in exchange for lighter sentences is a way for the government to save time and money and, of course, bed space inside of the prisons, which is true maybe at the state level. But the feds have unlimited money. They literally print it in their budget.
Nah, right. She is right about that. They do got unlimited money shit. They print that shit. But yeah, damn, that's crazy. This dude right here was from Austin, Texas, and he had him a whole website where he was selling shit. They said that man made over $200 million. And then went to jail and he got out this year. So he did his little time and got out. Silk Road. That was the name of the website. He from Austin, Texas, man. All right, let's get into this cocaine cowboy. Say she was a nobody in Miami. Cocaine Kingpin exposed how. We about to see what he talking about over here, man.
He saw on you what.
All right, I want to talk to you about compensation and why Nexa.
Yeah, hold on real quick. Let me get this right.
I'm talking about of the five.
Of the five,
Yeah, of the
original
five.
Godfathers, right?
Those
Let
five
me get this right, y'all.
Yeah, you show us, they're alive. Two brothers are alive, one died.
Okay, so of the original four that brought you into the business, Manny's associates.
Manny's the only one alive.
So what happened to those other three?
So Carlos Botero died about 2 years ago.
Big
He
niggas
was
like
in prison
this
I
with
think,
all
for
the
about
dope,
15
man.
years. Jorge Ordonez was
You be
murdered in
niggas
Colombia.
like this with
Pablo
all
had
the
him killed.
dope. You wouldn't
And
even know.
Armando, Pablo had him
Like
killed.
he just a regular nigga.
Do you know why?
He got all the
Routes.
dope.
God, but yet he could. Sounds like he could have killed Manny.
He had so much respect for Manny. And he knows Manny made him.
Right.
And then never, even when he was taking money from everybody, when he was fighting the war
Right.
against the government, he was taking money from every
Taxing groups.
Oh, yeah. You got paid 200. Manny was the only one he never asked money for.
Wow. I wonder if Manny ever pulled him aside and said, "Son, this is going to bring way too much heat on us."
I don't know. He was just,
Nah, probably not. Probably not. He
Later
saw in you what he would have seen in Pablo, which is this guy is kind of incorrigible. You kind of can't. He's kind of got that psychopath. There's 2% of criminals are incorrigible. That's what they say, meaning it's not environment, it's not trauma. They're just antisocial by genetics. Pablo might have been one of those guys.
even though he was a very likable guy.
Right. Tell us,
The Gasha was different. Man,
what
listen.
was he like?
Okay. So Gasha,
If people want to know, Gasha is, if you go watch Narcos season 1, it's Luis Guzman's character.
right.
It's the big-headed, fat
They
dude that
called him the
wears
Mexican.
because he wears
wore
cowboy
Mexican
hats.
hats, right?
Right.
He I used to say that he whispered, he didn't talk. So he would go up to you and say, you would go to him and say, I want to borrow 100 kilos. And he's like, okay, Michael, I'll give you 100 kilos and I'm going to charge you 115 kilos back. When are you going to pay me? And you would say, I'll pay you in 30 days. He said, you sure you don't want 40 days? No, in 30 days, I'll pay you. Okay, what day? February 28th. What time? 1 o'clock. If you were not there at 1 o'clock, February 28th, you're dead. That was it. No conversation.
No conversation.
You couldn't come at 2 o'clock.
Even if you had the money.
I didn't give a shit.
Tell us about Griselda.
Never met her.
Did you even, was she really?
Was not even in the radar. All the stuff about Griselda, it really got me upset that, I used to be a big fan of the actress, but
Sofia Vergara?
Sofia Vergara, and I guess she's an actress, it's fine. But, I have a Colombian wife and I have Colombian kids, and I hate for everyone to stereotype that every Colombian woman is a whore or a drug dealer, you know? And the fact that this is what I'm going to tell you about Grisha. I never met her. I never even heard her name ever.
When did she come to prominence in Miami?
Never. As far as I was.
Wow.
I went to, I got out of the business 87. Till then, I had never heard her name. But I'll just tell you this. I'm just going to appeal to your common sense.
Nigga said I never heard of her name.
In 78, according to the thing, she comes to Miami with a kilo for 28,000. Well, when it's really going for 45, and it's costing that much in Colombia, right?
Mm.
So that didn't make sense to me. The fact about Pablo fearing her, I can attest to that. Pablo's the only man to bring a government to his knees.
Right.
He blew up freaking airline. He blew up the entire Supreme Court.
Right.
You think he's scared of a woman?
Right.
Yeah, not I. Everyone knows that she was a cheap prostitute in Colombia.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
So here's the bottom line, okay? She goes to New York, gets charged with 2 murders that get dropped because her hitman or whatever is having phone sex with the prosecutor.
Right.
I don't buy any of that, but let's say that's true. But she's given a 10-year sentence.
Which is crazy.
Okay? And does 5 years for medical reason.
Damn.
Think about it. Well, if she was supposed to be bigger than Pablo, if the United States got a hold of Pablo, he'd be given 10 years. Jorge Ochoa of Ochoa just did 25.
Right. Who was a godfather, who was an actual godfather.
Who's supposed to be less than her.
Right. Yeah.
And then she got out in 5?
No, that's crazy. I never bought that from the first Cocaine Cowboys. So for people that don't know, she was a murderer. She had a lot of bodies on her. Yet somehow they only sentenced her to 10 or 15 years in prison because the prosecutor in her case, his assistant was having phone sex with Rivi, who was her number 1 bodyguard and hitman. That seems crazy to me. Like, she's only going to get 15 years.
Oh, and they're going to drop a murder case because the guy's having phone sex with a prosecutor, with a secretary?
Yeah, it's hard to believe. But look.
And then her 3 sons got killed, and she got killed.
Yeah.
Really that powerful? Now, her son is going around, right, who was just a baby at that time. I'm really good friends with a guy that was at Angola that worked for her. So I know a lot of stories about her.
Right.
In a sense, but
how big was she compared, cocaine-wise, compared to like the Falcone organization?
Well, that's the other thing. So here's the other thing, right? Same period. So who's running Miami? Sal and Willie or Griselda? So both documentaries claim that each other.
Right.
That Sal and Willie's running Miami. Herb Griselda said that she is.
Right.
I go with Sal and Willie. I knew Sal and Willie. Everybody in prison knew Sal and Willie. I never heard of Griselda in my life, ever.
Right.
Ever heard of her.
And it stands to reason. If you know anything about the drug business, you know that level of violence will eat into your profits. People don't want to do business with you. She was killing people that owed her money. So it's like you're going to reduce the amount of money you make.
She became famous by killing her husbands.
Right.
2 husbands. But is what we said, marketing and pop culture.
It's marketing.
Pop culture made her famous, right? Songs about her and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I had never heard of her. And I heard of anyone that was anybody till 1980. And from, 80 to 84, I was in prison. Even though we had a lot of stories in prison. But from 84 to 87, when I got out, I never heard of her.
Mm.
I heard of her when I saw that Billy Corbin's deal.
So you just knew about the violence that was going on in Miami at that time. That's the only thing that you were aware of, but you didn't know, that documentary claims that she was the main group perpetrating that violence, which again, I find hard to believe. I think it was just a bunch of people trying to get in on the action.
All these people, all this documentary claim that they are the ones that created the whole drug traffic in Miami. Yeah. I'm the only one that didn't claim that.
Right.
I'm the only one that said, just ask the prosecutor. He accused me of it. I didn't. How many kilos did you bring in? I said, I don't know. Why am I going to say that?
I think Manny might be, if you were gonna try to put a label on it, I think Manny might be the
founder. I would say he would be the founder of the cocaine business in the United States.
You bring in?
But I think
I don't know. Why would I tell him
in
that?
Colombia, I would say
It's crazy.
in the
He
beginning,
he never knew
was
her
Manny
before.
Garces.
He never heard of her.
Manny Garces.
That was the beginning of it all.
He was McDonald's, but you were Ray Kroc. You were the guy that took it from the founder and made it a franchise. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm the one that found the buyers. I'm the one that found the ministers of finance in Tortola and Grand Cayman and Liechtenstein and Zurich. I got their names. You know, all those people know that they did all this money laundering and in the Bahamas and Panama and all that.
You built it into the industry.
Yeah.
So what about the cops? What about the judges? What about the prosecutors? You know, it's pretty well known that, especially in the late 70s, early 80s, you could buy off Miami law enforcement.
We did. All of it. Except
we did.
DA or FBI.
But a judge you could pay off?
No federal judge, though.
But you could pay off a state judge.
In a book that I read about, talking about Shelby Highsmith, who was my lawyer, that was a straight, it talks about him that is such a lie. The guy was so straight. I offer him, his brother-in-law was Peter Fay, the chief judge of the Fifth Court of Appeal. Alan Dershowitz did my appeal. Didn't you hear of Alan Dershowitz?
Of course.
My appeal got granted certiorari for bond, all the way to Supreme Court. I told Shelby, in 1980, tell your brother-in-law, I'll give him $1 million for them to rule on my behalf. You know what was my behalf? It was, I had Jim Baker, the dean of the law school of Harvard. My case was this. My closing argument was this. My client's a drug dealer, made tons of money dealing drugs, but my client has never committed a crime in Macon, Georgia. And he has a constitutional right to venue. You have a right to be tried where you committed your crime. I've never been to Macon, Georgia.
Right.
So I had everything for the courts to rule on my behalf.
Right.
On my behalf. And you know what he said to me? If I told my brother-in-law that I give him $1 million, which he probably needs and would enjoy, he would lock me up.
Wow.
So
you got the unlucky fortune of meeting the one straight judge in the whole Southwest.
Are there for life?
Right.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, man. We about to get to some content on this motherfucker. I'm just listening to these stories, y'all. That's all I'm doing. Hope y'all listening to this shit so y'all can see niggas that actually went to jail, niggas that got out of jail, niggas that was actually doing this shit. They got the paperwork to show this shit. If you want to look their trial up and see about this shit, you can. But it ain't like these niggas just talking on this motherfucker. This the one I want to watch right here. Damn, where it's at. He say the best way to move drugs, a drug smuggler expose how easy it is to send shit through the mail. This the one I want to watch right here, man. This the one we about to watch.
Wix gives you the power of AI.
And like I kind of fell back from the music because I'm making so much money in the streets. Like that's like somewhere like a little bit after that's when everything started talking. And then with the motion, I called the plug. You know what I'm saying?
Who's the plug?
The plug was I don't even know what his ethnicity was. He had to be some type of Hispanic because of what his last name was, but it was I think it was a Hispanic dude out of Humboldt.
For coke?
Nah. I fought it with the bud.
Yeah,
I fought it with the bud. That's how I blew up. You know what I'm saying? They were trying to hand that different, but I mean, once I ran across that plug, and it felt like a nigga, bro, like damn, there was printing money. I remember the first time, like nigga tell me the number, like, he got pounds for 1,600. And at the time,
this right
I
here,
was
he's
paying
supposed to be
3,200 for a
talking about how they used to smuggle
So I'm like,
drugs through the
and it
mail.
sound fake. I'm skeptical, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's like I want to try my hand. I want to see what it's about. So sent my money.
Okay, so this is a guy in Humboldt County, California.
Yeah.
Wow.
He was in Humboldt County, California.
So you got the plug. That's the plug. That's the weed. That's the weed version of finding the guy in Medellin, Colombia. Right. That's where I was getting my from.
Yeah. It don't get that's the
So
method.
that's where I was getting my shit from.
Land,
Hey,
you know
the
what
dude
I'm
is
saying? So
how'd you meet
bro.
him?
He done been
I
to the
met him
feds and been to the
because
penitentiary too. So he ain't no square nigga.
I met him through the nigga that ended up telling on me.
Niggas.
It was actually like nigga that ended up telling on me knew a girl that moved out there. And I think that ended up being her boyfriend. Something like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
well, anyways, so you gave it a test run. You sent him your money out.
Yeah, and that bitch came through.
And you got the dope back.
Yeah, that bitch came through. And I remember I pulled into the dollar store on 18th and 22nd. And I served a nigga like I then had to keep my poker face on because it was crazy to me. Like I was just paying $3,200.
And now you got it for 16.
And then I served it to a nigga for $3,200.
Yeah.
And I made $1,600.
And you just doubled what it would have taken you 10 pounds to make.
You know
just
what
made
I'm
it
saying?
one.
Like, bro, I made $1,600 for shaking a nigga hand. He happy, I'm happy. Like, and then the thing about it, the bud was way better than anything else that was in St. Pete. And it was like, and even me getting them at 32 at that time, I'm getting them for 32 and I can still wholesale. You know, I break down too, but I can still wholesale. So it's like 32 a good ticket.
Yeah.
You know what
so
I'm
now
saying?
everybody down the chain eats. Like your people are happy when you're giving it to them for 32.
Yeah, bro, I'm watching niggas buy cars and watching niggas open up studios and watching niggas do like
everybody.
And when I sold that first bowl and made $1,600, like I was like after the dog pulled off, I was still just sitting in the car like,
y'all hitting that like button.
Mm-hmm.
How many times can I do that? I could do that 10 times. I could do that 20 times. I could do that 100 times.
Only 100 times, and now you got
160 bands.
Yeah,
1,600 off.
It's nothing to do that
100 times.
It kind of feels like
that you niggas don't know.
It truly made me a religious man when that happened to me. I was like, oh, I think the Lord. I think this is God intervening.
I ain't gonna lie, I kind of did too, man. like, bro. I swear I was like.
You're
I kind of felt that way too because like I just was a good nigga and I did good things with it.
Just some lime green shit.
Your price was 16. That is incredible. So I didn't even have the ticket, but I'm older than you. When the prices were still a little higher.
This was like 2014.
Get off all that shit.
So now California's weed is basically fully legal by this time on the West Coast. So West Coast growers need cats in places like the South to get their work off because it's not moving like it was out here back in the day. So, okay, how did this ramp up?
I mean,
because now you got to get it all. Now you need quantity.
It was like everything was easier back then, though, because nobody was up on game. I didn't know nobody who did this. Like that sounded crazy to me. Like the idea of getting drugs in the mail. Like, I wouldn't. I think I had like one Mexican partner who had like a big ass like metal thing that he got like a bunch of like that Mexican brick weed sent in the mail when we was just something. But like that seemed like some sophisticated kind of like, I don't know how he even did that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So but as far as my circle, like I didn't know anybody else in my circle in my city that had that going at that time. So then it was just easy to fly under the radar, bro. Like it was the mail was touching down and the money was touching down. I used to buy like a phone book or like not a phone book, but I used to want something like a phone book. So what I used to buy was like SAT books and ACT books. I put $100 bills all through that bitch and then I ship it. That bitch never got knocked off. If I was extra paranoid about something, it was like a one of them smoke shops in my area where you can get like custom made bongs and like that. And I vacuum seal the money and have them make a bong like a vase almost to where it's like you can't even see the money, touch the money, nothing. And then when the plug will get it, he'll just take that bitch, shatter it, and the money will be in there. But like all the money was touching down. Like I took a couple losses at the beginning when I didn't know what I was doing, but like all the money was touching down. And then the pipes, they was like 95% touching down. But I'm doubling my money. So the ratio way more in my favor. If I lose 1 out of every 20 and I'm doubling up every time, okay, so I done ate off the first 18 and then number 19 make up for number 20. We keep this rolling.
Mm-hmm.
You
How
know,
many were you getting at a time?
Back then it only needed to get like 10 a week. So I was like getting 10 a week and I make like 15, 16,000 every week. But then if I wanted to go, like, let's say it was like Croptober, you feel me? Like that time of the year where everything is in abundance.
Yeah.
I want 100. And if I want 100, I'm gonna go out there so I can pick everything, make sure it's good.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it was like I was keeping it in that range. Like if I was just on some, you know, like the routine was pretty much the 10 a week. And then if I really like, but when it came time for me to snap, I go out there myself and bring back 100.
How would you bring 100 pounds back?
The mail.
Wow. Oh, between how many boxes?
We would do 2 boxes for every address, and every box could hold like 3.
Oh, so it's a lot of boxes you're sending out.
Yeah, but that's how sweet it was at that time. Them bitches was landing.
Yeah. You using UPS or FedEx or
USPS priority shipping?
Yeah.
2 to 3 days. I used to track them bitches on my phone. Green check, green check, green check. That mean that bitch landed. Green check, green check.
Yeah.
But like, it was sweet. I mean, I switched it up a little bit. Like I wouldn't have all the pounds coming to the same city like that. But yeah, but that was the method.
You just paying people to use their addresses?
Yeah. This was back in the Golden area. Bitch rent was $700, $800. I'm paying whole rent. Like,
yeah. What's a box? Yeah.
And
doesn't
I'm
even
like,
have your name on it.
I'm like, look, man, if this bitch get knocked off, only thing that's gonna happen because they can't say that you consented for it to be here.
Right.
So they can't really pin it to you. They might start watching you and you ain't got nothing going.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't nothing.
When you got the box, were you waiting there for the mailman, or how did you kind of insulate yourself?
Nah.
Or did you have them bring the box to you?
Nah, they're just. What I would do, I would tell them not to touch it. I tell them not to touch it. I was like, man, if you can, like, make sure don't nobody f with it, but don't touch it. And I just come through and scoop it like that way to just keep even less possibility they could try to act like they was in on it. You feel me?
Yeah. I met a guy who would say when he got weed sent through the mail, he would get the box delivered to his address and he wouldn't touch it for like 3 or 4 days. Like he would just bring it into his house, just leave it there. It was under a fake name. So if the cops raid it, he's like, look, I think it was just a mistake. I haven't even opened the box.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't have my name on it.
Yeah.
So different little methods like that. But you were just cowboying it.
Yeah. I mean, like with me,
I was too.
Like with them, I was super protective. I didn't want nothing to happen to my peoples or whatever. Cause most of them was people that I think that everybody I genuinely with. And I ain't my stilo anyway. Like even if I didn't know you like that, I wouldn't want that. You know what I'm saying? But
how many people were working for you? Were taking work off you?
What do you mean, like with the bosses?
Yeah, how many people were you giving pounds to?
Like selling pounds to?
Yeah. Like how many people did you have?
A lot. But I ain't gonna lie, back then niggas wasn't buying pounds like that. Like I had like a couple niggas who bought 5 and 10, but it ain't like how it is now when niggas buy 50 and 100. Like back then, like I still sold zips back then. I used to sell zips for 200. I'm making $100 off a zip. These niggas out here selling pounds making $100 now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So the game was just different. Like that's why them 10 a week used to be a lot.
How long are you running like this for?
Like 3 years. 2014, 15, summer 16. 2014, 15, summer 16.
So you're bubbling. You're making, this is $1 million operation.
Yeah, nigga get into it. Cause it ain't even just me. It's me and the nigga that ended up folding on me. He was actually making more money than I was. Yeah.
So the crib got hit.
You
were at home when they raided?
Nah, I was doing my 1-2 like I usually do, but I had coming in. I had some pipes coming in to sell soda. I had some pipes coming in to St. Pete, I think. And when they first like opened up surveillance on me is when I came back from, like the girl from Sarasota, she had met me at Tampa International Mall when they got something to eat. I get a box and I come back. That's when they got me on the surveillance. So they watched me make my moves. I went to like a 7-Eleven kind of by my apartments. I called a nigga. They watched me do that. I went to some apartments by my apartments, called a nigga. They watched me do that. Then I had some in the hood because I was staying like in some like luxury. Like I was like deep north.
Mm-hmm.
I was like as far as St. Pete as you can get before you get to town. So I shoot to the hood. I'm out the realm of surveillance, and then when I come back, I got the box that I picked up off one of my little dogs. And I'm walking up to the apartment. And when I'm walking up to the apartment, I go to take the key fob to open up my gate because it's like a dude standing by there who can't get in. And he making it sound like he on the phone, you feel me? Like talking to the people who staying there, like, hey man, I'm standing at the gate, I can't get into this bitch. And I already had a key fob, so I ain't no pressure at all. I got you. I go to open the gate for him to let him in, and then he grabbed me. And when he grabbed me, I'll tighten up, like I'm down there ready to fade because I don't really know what's going on, but this nigga just put his hands on me and he starts saying, police, police, police. Then I start looking around and these bitches jumping out of bushes. They coming from behind cars. The police was there.
Make your browser fast. Make your browser safe. Make your browser Chrome. Choose Google Chrome for your computer.
I said, oh, fuck. My mom had just thrown away 40 grand in drug money. The legitimate world colludes with the criminal world to hide and clean up money. When you look at the most successful gangster families in this country, it all traces back to illegal money. This was my shot to build dynastic wealth. Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome back to The Connect. My name is Johnny Mitchell. Before we get started, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on your alerts so you get notified whenever we drop new content. Of course, follow me on Instagram as well, at Mr. Johnny Mitchell, and be sure to leave us a comment. All right, let's get into it. So in this episode, we're going to be talking about...
I appreciate y'all holding on and waiting for a nigga, no cap. Let's see what we about to look at now.
Yeah, like I kind of felt bite from the music car making so much money in script.
I had to go get me another 6-pack. Ain't nobody send me no money down that 3-4 days. I don't want y'all to be like, oh yeah, they sending that nigga money and he buying beer with it. He buying liquor with it. Bitch, I'm buying it with my own money. Oh, ass nigga. Fuck, we'll watch this one. He explained the murders that sent
Okay, so after you guys
for a nigga to be
get all these towns in the Guerrero, wherever it is in the South Chiapas, wherever, you've got that pipeline, then the accountants come in and pay off the people at the checkpoints.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay. So, and you were part of this. Were you part of this kind of solidification for the Beltran Leyvas?
I was working as a sicario.
Okay, but at this time when he had you on lock.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Things were a lot different back then.
Yeah.
Because the Zetas were helping him, were coming in from Chiapas, and that's why everything broke down, because Sinaloa didn't want any deals with the Zetas. But Alfredo Beltran was a good friend of the Zetas.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But the other guys didn't want to deal with them at all?
They felt like he was going to associate with them to try to take out his counterparts in Badiraguato.
Chapo and Mayo.
Yeah.
Right. They didn't, because then we saw what the Zetas did. They're
Zetas
insane.
are brutal. Yeah.
Was torture common among you guys? Like, did you ever have to torture people?
Yeah, a lot of times.
Wow.
You
trying to give up information.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
It's all about interrogation and information.
Yeah. It's all about intel.
Yeah.
Wow. That's wild.
Even in prison. When I fell in prison, I was still working for the organization.
Okay.
And in prison, the cartel has the last say in prison, right? A lot of people don't understand that prisons in Mexico are basically a line of information. Let's say you're working for a rival and you get caught with a couple bags of crystal meth, cocaine, marijuana. You go into the jail, to the prison. You might not go into the main yard, but the cartel has so much power that guys inside, like me, would come through those gates. The correctional officers will open those gates, get you inside where that person was with a smartphone, interrogate him, beat the shit out of him, take the information out, and pass the information out to the people that are outside.
Right.
So it was basically the cartel would supply drugs to the prison.
Yeah.
The prison would supply back information and obviously profit of those drugs.
Right.
Prisons in Mexico, they would sell anything between 50 kilos to 100 kilos of marijuana a month.
Wow. Just inside the prison.
Just inside the prison.
Yeah.
It's crazy how Mexican prisons, like I've never seen an actual documentary of a real Mexican prison. I've seen several of El Hongo up in Baja California. Ain't nothing compared to the South and to the violence that these prisons can create.
Right.
Yeah.
Plus information. You get information about what opposition is operating when they go to jail, and they've got
because you know that
their hooks in the people working in the jail and the inmates in there.
Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes the correctional officers will try to gain control of the prison and try to control it themselves, and they get murdered outside the prison. Yeah.
Okay, so how did you take your fall, the murder?
I knew it was eventually catch up to me. I knew that I only had two ways: there's getting killed in the streets or ending up in prison. It went actually pretty well. I can't complain. Prison for me was.
You were in Morelos?
In prison?
Yeah.
Yeah, Morelos and Estado de Mexico.
Okay, so where did you catch the body?
In Morelos.
In Morelos?
Yeah.
And getting caught, it seems pretty hard to get convicted of murder in Mexico, especially when you're working for an organization. We know this because we were just in Tijuana, and they were like, in Culiacan, it's a statistic.
Yeah.
99% unsolved homicides. So how do you get caught for doing a body when you're part of this massive cartel?
So the government needs to present work.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Stats.
The government needs to present that they have detained someone for whatever is going on. Why? Because obviously the government needs the local government, the state government needs funds from the federal government. But in order to get their funds, they need to present work. So what do? They get a stupid individual that basically he got caught with several stuff, and they'll give him the option, you know what, you help us testify against these certain individuals and we'll let you go. So he's a star witness. He'll testify in 5, 10, 15 cases, people that he never has met, and just basically reads something that is
written statement that's given to him by the prosecutor.
Exactly.
Wow.
And that's all in the Mexican judicial system. All that they need to convict you of the murder is a testimony. There's no scientific proof, no forensic evidence, nothing but just a testimony.
And one person's testimony will do
testimony.
Wow.
The amount of individuals that are in prison with these testimonies that are star witnesses, we call them, because they have been in every case and they've said the same for every person.
Wow. So you think there's a lot of actually innocent people sitting in Mexican prisons?
Definitely, brother.
Wow.
Definitely.
You don't have to answer if you don't want to, but it has been adjudicated. Were you actually guilty? Did you commit the murder?
You can say I did. I wasn't there, but I gave the order to pick up the individual because he had it was personal, and I wanted to actually be there to take this individual for myself. But this individual, I think he already smelled that something bad was going to happen, and he tried to run for it, and the guys killed him.
Okay.
So
did the trigger man go down too?
The trigger man was the witness.
You're kidding me.
Yeah,
How did he become the witness?
Bro, like the story's so crazy that you're gonna probably think that it's hard to tell, but I'm gonna tell it to you. So
The unbelievable in Mexico is to be believed.
I'm working for this different group in Morelos, right? I take these two brothers, I take them in because they're supposedly already experienced gunmen. I take them in, we do some jobs, and they demonstrate that they can handle themselves and that they're doing their job. I get a phone call while we're sitting down in our safe house from their boss and my boss. They're like, "Do you have these two individuals there?" I'm like, "Yeah, why? What's going on?" Cut them up into pieces. No, I don't do that to people that are working with me. I'm not gonna do that. How can I? Like, for me, it was morally incorrect. If you've risked your life to work with me and you've shown me loyalty, and for someone else to call me and give me a stupid reason just to cut you up and use your body as a message for rivals, like, come on. So I basically put in my hands in the fire for them to save their lives. Explain to them, you know what? They called me right now and they wanted me to kill you guys, but I put my hands in the fire for you guys. They were accusing them of extortion. I don't know if they did or they didn't, but
not a great reason.
I ended up saving their lives, right?
Wow.
When we get caught, one of those brothers, he gets convinced by the prosecutors to testify against me, and it was because of him that I'm out. You see, he testified. Yeah, they me vincularon. They attached the body to me, right? Because of him, I saved his life. He ended up saving my life on the long run.
Okay.
Because he was a star witness. In prison, we had a riot, and I got transferred to a state prison far away from Morelos to a state prison. I got more power. I had an opportunity to get more people running the streets on my behalf, and I prolonged my stay. So normally in Mexico, you get sentenced from 8 to a year and a half. I had already been 3 years in prison, and I hadn't been sentenced because of the riots that had happened, the situation that was going on with the change of government.
What year did you go down? What year was that?
It was when
first got arrested.
Andrés Manuel López Obrador.
Yeah. Guy that just left the presidency.
Got into power.
It's 2014, maybe.
He was 6 years, right?
Oh, okay. Oh, so this is after the fall of Chapo. This is 2016.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was during that. I had already been there for a while, and when this president won. So in the long run, I got to the point where I had people that were on the streets that they knew where his brother was. So I get someone to get him and to get him on the phone, and I told him, "You guys remember what I did for you guys? Now it's time for you guys to repay the favor. And make sure that your brother doesn't show up to the final court
hearing. Court appearance, right? Trial. So you took it to trial.
Yeah.
Okay.
I took because they offered me. They're like, if you accept your blame, we're gonna give you 13 years.
Right. How many of those would you do? Like, is there any good time? Can you get out early?
Mexico is one you do year
for day.
Year,
we say
day for year.
Okay.
So I spoke to them and they're like, you know what? We owe you one. My brother's not gonna show up. And I remember I was on the phone with him and I was like, look, I'm being nice, bro. You know that I've saved your guys' life. But if he shows up, I'm killing all your family. I was mentally trying to get on his case because they knew that I've always been a you can say a good guy. I don't consider myself as an evil person, but if I have to get my hands dirty, I'm gonna get them dirty. So I made sure to intimidate him to the point where he's like, you know what? Let me speak to my brother. They got back to me. They're like, no one's gonna show up.
So then they dropped the case.
I was acquitted from murder.
Oh, so you weren't actually convicted of murder?
No.
You were just in there sitting.
I was waiting for the
for
sentence.
3 years
For 3
in
years.
a real, and in Mexico, you don't go to the county jail.
No.
They put you in prison with the convicted people.
Yeah.
And you're doing a bid like you're already sentenced, which is crazy. And even though technically
I
you're
was
innocent.
making more money from the inside of prison than from the outside.
Okay, so tell us about that. This is bananas.
In prison, you got everything. In Mexican prison, you got smartphones, you got women, you got alcohol, you got heroin, you got crystal meth, you got whatever you name it, you got it, because everything is everything's about money. So
what were you running? How were you getting money?
I was a bodyguard for a crack cocaine cook.
When it comes to suspicious odors in
He
your
was a
home,
bodyguard.
the nose knows.
That's
If
crazy.
you smell rotten eggs, it could be a natural gas.
Okay.
So someone that was cooking crack cocaine, I was basically his bodyguard, you can say. I wasn't really his bodyguard. So what happened was that in my old prison, before I got transferred to the state prison, I saw that the cartel wasn't going to help me anymore. Right. So first they put me a lawyer, but this lawyer was just telling me, you know what, I got everything fixed. Don't worry about it. Let's go to the final court hearings. I already got it fixed. And I would look at him and like, I ain't stupid. You might fool everybody else that you got everything fixed, but unless you got something that's gonna destroy the testimony of the start witness, we ain't getting out.
Right.
Because I was seeing that it was happening to other cartel members that were getting by this guy, by the same lawyer.
Right.
And I reported it. I reported to the person that was above me. You know what? This lawyer is kind of weird. So they didn't listen to me. So I saw that they weren't helping me anymore. Because at the beginning, obviously, they would send you some money just to survive.
Right.
Because in Mexico, they don't give you anything. Mexico just gives you water and food. Your clothes has to be brought by your family.
Yeah.
Your toilet paper to wipe your butt has to be brought by your family. Soap to wash your clothes has to be brought by your family.
So if you have no family, if you're indigent,
bro,
and you got 12 years, you're going to be wearing these for 12 years. Hope those last.
I was washing homeboys' clothes, like homeboys' underwears, homeboys' t-shirts, to get a couple pesos to buy myself some soap, to keep my hygiene up.
Right.
And I was working because I was at the beginning I was part of the cartel still, so I was getting special treatments from the prison, from the people that were in charge of the prison. I was getting weed and I was able to work weed. But then I started seeing like everything, there's always treason. The people that were there, they jumped with another rival cartel. And basically, when I took the decision, you know what, I'm not with you, I'm not with them, I'm not with nobody, just leave me alone. I want to do my time and I want to bounce. Because obviously I knew that once you're sentenced, you're basically, your life is ended. What age are you going to come out at? 50, 60? I'm like, nah, I'd rather stay chill and try to look for a way out.
If you've been convicted of the murder, would you have done more than 13? How much would you have gotten?
If I would have gone to
trial,
I would have gone from 20 to 30 years.
Yeah. So, and you can't survive.
Man, as y'all see, man, shit. These niggas that actually did, you know what I'm telling? Shout out to, you know what I'm saying, everybody that actually did some shit. Not niggas that's talking about what they did, nigga. You can check these niggas' paperwork and you can see these niggas got caught with this a month. These niggas was part of organizations that was getting money. Niggas ain't talking about no crip or no blood. Nigga ain't talking about no couple of grams. Yeah, niggas talking about thousands and thousands of grams, millions of grams. These niggas that sold millions of grams, billions of grams, nigga. Yeah, get your motherfucking grams up around this motherfucker. That's what I used to tell nigga. I was like, man, you gotta get your grams up, G, to fuck with me. This nigga got Adam 22 on this motherfucker like he done goddamn did some shit. New Jack City. Nigga say he made millions.
Welcome back to this
Thought
US
I
Open office plan.
Miller just lobbed a
You know,
message
like, he'll
way
say
over
he
Jones'
made
head
millions.
using some technical jargon.
Let's see if they can
Come
use
on,
brand.
man.
How did they know you were the guy that was moving it all the way up there in Detroit? Real
What I found,
distributor.
Oh, you mean the Mario and eventually I'll say Frank. My brother, love him. He gonna hear this, but he's a. I mean, he doesn't. Good heart, but he was always coming short. He wasn't paying like he was supposed to. He get the marijuana, it might take him a month and a half, and they start moving it quick. So I'm thinking over time, what happened is, so you may have to edit this out, but excuse me. What happened over time is the guy on the west side that we had to go pick up from, he told them because he got an opportunity to see me because my brother didn't even have a crew.
Right.
I had to load it up in the van and drive it myself. My brother was scared to drive it. So he told them. And so they squeezed the information out of my brother. And like I said, my brother didn't want to bring me down, but they made him. They wouldn't send him nothing else. So now when I come, they already have an idea because the guys there at the strip club are with us. And now they got me to themselves going down to Tucson.
So they're pushing your brother out of the way because they want to deal with you directly.
And they tried to, but I would not let them. And that, I guess the term what they call, they tried to jump you. I wouldn't let them jump him because that's my brother. And he actually set me up later. But anyway, so
he actually set me
eventually
up,
ended up having
brother.
a conversation. And Frank came and got us the next morning to drive us back up to Tempe or wherever in Arizona to go ahead and get ready to catch a flight back. But he wanted to discuss wanting to increase. So
increase the size of the loads.
Increase the size of the loads. So there was already a load that had left. Actually, we didn't know it, but left like a day before we were supposed to leave. So it could meet us up there, so to speak.
I remember I used to play with that bullet in the front of
He had us in the
mama.
car.
I used to be like,
on the ride back, he was talking about the business, saying what he wanted to do.
I want to touch that.
And I started to talk, just started coming to me. Okay, well, what we're going to need, you're talking about giving us this amount, we're going to need to borrow some money from you because we're going to need to get some places to store this stuff. We need to get vehicles to move it in. And I'm noticing he's not talking. He just started listening and squinting his eyes and shaking his head. And my brother's sitting up front like, yeah, that's exactly what we planned. No. And as we got closer to Tucson, because he would throw out scenarios, I would answer back. And he told me, he said, Wayne, I really like the way you think about the business. And that pretty much set the tone. So they sent us like 2,500 pounds. Got rid of that in like 3 days.
Wow. All from to cats in Detroit.
Yeah. But again, these guys, some of these guys, and one of them became a really close friend of mine because when I got off into the cocaine, I could go borrow 400, 500,000 from this guy. You know, so he had guys in Ohio and other places that were coming up paying cash.
Huge hub. Detroit's a huge Midwest hub.
So that's coming in, and it got so to the point, Johnny, that they started sending like about 45, like 2 to 3 metric tons
of pot.
Yeah. And I'm moving it in like a day and a half.
Damn.
2 days. When they come in, they would start saying, well, when they come in, listen, we at least need $1 million or 1.5. I was like, okay, no problem. And I would have it.
Okay.
They would have the truck sit there and wait. The shit would come, and I literally probably within a few hours, I would have like 1.5, 1.7.
Wow.
And my brother was raping me, charged me like $9.50, crazy numbers.
$9.50 a pound?
Yeah.
Okay. How much were you turning that over?
Listen, I was selling it, Johnny. I wasn't even counting. And this is what happened.
But how much are you charging on a pound? Like if you get it for $9.50 and you sell a guy 500 pounds.
Sometime I wouldn't make nothing. No, it sounds crazy to you, but sometimes I wouldn't make nothing. Like my one guy that's buying that volume like that, maybe $25 on him or something, sometimes nothing. Because I'm working on something bigger.
Sure.
Okay. So, because what's happening, the shit moving so
So I'm
fast
working
now.
on something bigger.
Within a matter of hours, I'd have made it $200,000-$300,000. You might get it, what, $975? I might charge you $1,000, or if you ain't got it all, pay me later. And because what happened after was, think about 3 months of that, I had like $1 million in weed that was mine.
Wow. Just from making $25, $50
Just
a
little-
pound.
And that's how that quick that was going.
Nah,
and I
facts.
didn't know, and this is how I found
Big
that
facts.
out. Because I'm going through my math, and I'm thinking about what I got to pay my brother, right? He's like, man, you only owe me a couple $100,000. No, man, your numbers is wrong. I got a basement full of weed down here. Your numbers are wrong. Man, my numbers ain't wrong. Check your numbers again. I go down there and check numbers. And then I got U-Haul boxes, because only the big U-Haul boxes, only 4 25-pound bales could fit in those. I still got boxes up the ass of marijuana. That's how I figured out how much money I had. And at that time, I think I had like $750,000 in marijuana that was mine. How the f- I did it? I don't know. I was just moving it. So when that happened, I'm rich, bitch.
Yeah,
for real.
So now you got a war chest. Now you got $1 million. It's yours.
That's all mine.
Okay.
But then what started to happen, they started to play games. Because what I started doing, I started making them come down, come down, come down. They had another group inside the city that they were working with. So they were trying to transition and switching over to them, because I had made that market so lucrative. So the whole thing was to switch the market over to somebody else, charge them a higher price, and just have the customers go to them. It's the same weed.
Fascinating.
But what they didn't know, I had a cousin over there that was on that team, and I'd had him working with me. So he started telling me, hey, these two guys, they're reaching over and they're talking to, my guys about trying to send over to them now. Okay. I'm talking to the young lady at the strip club. She wants to get an exercise gym, workout gym. She's a workout freak. So I already started to go down and see her. So I'm starting to tell her, I need another connection, and well, I don't know, baby, I might have something for you, and da-da-da-da. So I'm feeding her money. That's what Detroit do. We feed bitches money. You know what I'm saying? And she ends up introducing me to a guy named Brian. But he has a weird name, so just call herself Brian. So she had me at, I think the hotel was the Phoenician out there. Phoenician, I can't remember what city in Arizona. But I guess Michael Jordan and Charles Barkley used to go out there. I think it was like $1,000 or $1,500 a night or something like that. Real bougie bitch. But anyway, she has him come out and meet me. He has a
Scottsdale?
Scottsdale. That's it. Scottsdale. So she has him come out to meet me, and
we're
we're sitting and we're talking. We're talking about the amount of volume that I'm looking for. And I'm telling
this is a Mexican guy as well.
It's the Mexican guy.
Let me ask you before we go further. Do we know what organization these guys are with on the other side? Are they with a cartel? What kind of,
Now, Brian was not with a cartel. Are you talking about Mario and Frank?
Mario and Frank.
I found out that Mario and Frank's uncle was, because that's the one that the girl that I was was dating.
Right. Okay.
But exactly what cartel, I don't know. But an interesting story comes up in a little while.
I'll let you get to it. Yeah.
Okay. So
you're talking to B.
I'm talking to B. We're talking, and I'm telling him the volume I want. I keep saying, I need volume. I need volume. I need to at least be able to put my hands on 2 to 3 tons
per month.
I was doing that, Johnny, in less than a week.
Right.
But I'm not telling him that.
Right.
I'm just telling him what I need.
Right.
Okay. Now, from my old head, this is important. My old head told me,
So I wouldn't
with
tell
dealing
him that though.
with those individuals down there, never tell them you have money to buy. Just tell them you can move it. And the reason why, he said, because there's informants down there. And their job is to set you up. But they can't make no money if you don't come with cash, because they get a percentage of the money.
Wow.
So if you say you don't have no money, they're gonna say you and move on.
Right. Wow.
So
mind-blowing tip.
Exactly. So that's what I'm telling him. I don't have no money, but I can move it. I have no money, but I can move it. So she used to date him when they were younger. So he really wants to get back. He's in love with a beautiful girl, you know. And I had that problem too. So anyway, what happens is he said, well, listen, how do you feel about going across?
Make your browser fast. Make your browser safe. Make your browser.
I ain't trying to go over there. He said, listen, my friend, I could take you across. We could talk to some people. And so he eventually took me over at some point, and we met with the Tijuana cartel. So that's how that started.
And you went down into Tijuana.
But it wasn't not yet.
Tijuana.
We're just talking right now.
All right.
Okay. But he's eventually going to take me there. So just give me a look. Okay. So he said he's going to call some people. So she comes back. Now, at this time, this is kind of crazy. She's beautiful, but she likes to work out. And maybe work out a little hard sometimes. So at this point, I'm supposed to be giving up the ass. Okay.
But she hasn't even given you yet.
No, I haven't. I never took it. I know it sounds crazy to you, Johnny, but I'm trying to get to the bag, okay, man?
All right, sure.
Okay. So, and from my experience, when you put in something up,
absolutely.
She knows too many people.
Right. Oh.
So I don't need her falling in love with, not saying that I'm good enough for that to happen, but you know, I don't need that with the business.
Oh, interesting.
So that's why I'm just giving her money.
Yeah.
So it's not enough for you to turn away from me because you like the money.
Okay.
So I'm withholding.
Oh, you just redeemed yourself. The whole audience thought you were the simp of the year.
I'm on my way, baby.
Okay.
I'm
No.
I
I like this.
Work
All right.
with me, Johnny. Work with me. I'm coming alive now.
Hell yeah. No, respect, respect. Okay.
So
I'm on my way. Work with me.
She comes in one night and we're supposed to do it, right? She come in. That's the time they had all these damn strawberry smelling lotions and all this. She didn't smell up the whole damn place with this. So, you know, I'm laying there like I'm asleep, but I peek my eye open, right? And man, she bends over to, you know, do some old sexy, put the lotion on the leg thing. Man, this whole bitch thigh cut up. I mean, like a bodybuilder. I'm like, what the I didn't know, but I found out later she gets in bodybuilding competitions.
Oh, I thought you were going to say she was a man. Oh, I thought you said this is your introduction to trans women.
Oh, but listen, it's damn near there. But okay. So I'm like, damn. So I started, you know, so she didn't bother me, thank God. So I had to get her ass up, right? So next morning, B is excited. He comes back. Listen, I got somebody that wants to meet you.
What he say? He didn't have to give up the ass.
So
what the fuck? Hold on.
She convinces me, go ahead. She's getting excited because she want to open this big gym up down there. So she gets me in a truck with him. I start going down. I just changed my mind at the last minute, getting nervous. Now, come on, man, they're waiting now. No, that take me back. I'm not going. So anyway, took me back. So I goes back to the city. Get back to the city. Frank and they still going through this bull, ripping my brother off, playing these different games and all that. But then I figured that my brother owes them money as well. So I'm talking back and forth with B. B starts to come up. He starts to borrow money from me. And I started loaning it to him. I'm giving it to her as well. You know, putting all his money to use, investing, I guess you could say. So anyway.
But B is bringing you work up to the city now.
He's not bringing nothing yet.
Okay.
But he's broke. But she's telling me that B's a fuck up. He gets work from over there and then he robs them and he doesn't pay them.
Okay.
But B's uncle was somebody big over there. I know his uncle, father, or somebody, and had a lot of respect over there. And I would find out that over there would be the Tijuana cartel.
Okay.
So they tolerate him.
What year is this?
This is, I'm the worst with years, Johnny.
But it's the 90s though.
It's hold on. No, this is late 90s.
Okay.
Going into like 2000.
Okay. Gotcha.
This might be
late
2000 because I get that BMW, that spaceship 745 Li like 02, 03.
Okay.
Okay, so it might be like early 2000s. Okay. Anyway, okay, where was it?
So you're giving money to B. Why?
Okay, I'm giving money to B because she's giving me information that he's broke. He's broke and he probably owes somebody over there. So part of paying them off, they'll let him get something else. So, because she's feeding me information. Okay. And then I find out the work stopped coming with my brother. And he tells me, man, Big Sexy, which was the truck driver that was bringing it, he got busted out there on the highway and this, that, and the other. I'm like, really? He said, so that's why we ain't got nothing else. And so I'm talking with B. So B gets somebody down there to start sending a little something up, but sending it through the mail. I'm feeling like a peasant getting through the mail, but you know, it is what it is. So when we get there, I'll just pay him the money out. Just the illusion like we're moving it fast.
And how much can you get through the mail?
I don't remember how much it was, John. It wasn't. I would give him like 50 or 60,000. And the thing about it, but it was compressed. So it was nothing that we could really do nothing with it. But I'm just, it pay you, you pay them.
Yeah.
And so it ended up working out, but I'll tell you how in a minute. Excuse me. So we worked that. That's going. So she calls me back down to come see her because B wants to take me across. He didn't set up a meeting. So I goes down, I meet with her. She said, baby, he really has something big for you, so on and so forth. So I'm like, okay. And I'm like, well, something strange is going on. I said, but I need you to really help me get a hold of something. And I started telling her what happened with Big Sexy and all this. And she said, baby, she said, I'm going to tell you something. She said, I've been refraining from telling you this. She told me Frank and Mario's name. I never told her their name. She said they have a grandmother, told me where the grandmother stayed, and said they have an uncle that they get work from. And the uncle right now is threatening to kill them. I'm like, are you serious? She said, listen to me. So I'm thinking like, bitch, you making stuff up. You trying to set me up, something going on. But then she says to me that he's giving them so much time to pay him back because they gave him fake paperwork. And they stole a load. They jacked him for a load. I'm like, damn.
We've heard that's common. We've actually heard from the horse's mouth when we were in Mexico last week. The guys, the dealers on this side, Mexican dealers, will get it from the connects in Mexico, say they got busted, make fake arrest paperwork, and give it to them as proof that, hey, nothing, the work, we got arrested, nothing we could do, we lost it.
I got so much more for you. I got so, it's just going to get crazy.
Okay.
So anyway, I'm like, wow. And it's totally screwed me up because he had just told me before I left, listen, Frank's in the bad spot, man. He in the bad spot. He's going to send something to us, but he needs us to work fast because he has to pay the connect because they won't, he gave him the paperwork, but they won't let him but Preston, we need to pay him fast. So now I know why you need to pay him fast because he didn't jack this money and he has to pay his uncle. And the only thing keeping his uncle from hurting you is his mother is begging him, don't, you know. So that let me know I really have to make something work. So B takes me across and I give these guys nicknames because I can't remember their names. There's one guy he took me, I call him Boots because he always wore nice ostrich skin boots. And that's the drug deal over there, the ostrich skin boots and the big belt buck on the hat. You know, so
you're in Sonora right now.
I'm in Mexicali.
Okay. Gotcha.
I'm in
the city of Mexicali. Okay.
In the city of Mexicali. But I think at that point, we're slightly outside of that city. But we meet with Boots. Boots make an arrangement for us to meet with some other people the following day, but they had to come in town. We go into Mexicali. We go into Mexicali. We go to the strip club. And we're in the strip club. I got a crazy story. I don't know if you want me to tell it.
We want to hear how you met the plug.
Okay, well,
we got to get to that.
We'll come back to that. So anyway, what ends up happening is we end up going to meet Boots again. We went to another city. I can't remember the name of the city, but there's a lot of kidnapping goes on in that particular city. And huge club. The club is huge. They got, I guess, each section of the club is a different brand of music. Wow. So we go in, we're up in VIP, the plug is there, and it turns out to be some of the Tijuana guys, but I don't know it. So we cut a deal that night. for them to send me up a load.
What were those details?
The details,
much?
it was like 1,500 pounds.
Okay.
1,500 pounds. And
would they front you, or do you come with cash? How does that work?
All I had to do was pay the driver.
Nice.
Pay the driver.
And how are they bringing up loads from the border all the way up to Detroit?
They didn't give me no details on that. But what I found out later is that the truck will come up so far, and then they would get the weed off, put it in the van or whatever, and then they would bring it to my little house.
All the way up to Detroit?
Yeah.
Wow, like it's UPS.
Yeah.
And they put them in vans? They put the work in vans?
They put it in vans. Okay. I don't know how far it came up, but it came out. I don't know if it came to Michigan or whatever, but they would get it off. It would be in like a minivan.
Yeah.
And then they would have a guy trail it. And then the minivan would come right and they'll drop the minivan off. They jump in it and they take off.
Wow.
You keep the minivan, you pull the work out, and then they come back, get the minivan later.
Yeah.
But when they did that, weed again was compressed.
Right.
But I skipped over a part. But anyway.
Ms. Markenberg, what's up?
Do they know you were the guy moving it?
Now, this is with the Tijuana cartel.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with the Frank and because this weed is a total different type of weed.
Is it better?
It's not. It's worse.
Oh, okay.
It's worse. But the Tijuana cartel is just horrible. Anyway, so I end up having to borrow money from my buddy to not use all my money to just go ahead and pay it real quick.
Right.
It smoked good. It just didn't look good. It wasn't pretty to the eyes.
Right.
So I knew it would be a process, and I knew I probably had to get some more weed somewhere else and cut it and mix it in. But the fortunate thing for us at that time, there was no weed in the city. So that helped us get rid of a nice amount of it.
Yeah.
Because people like this, I'll just take this much of it.
Hotcakes.
Exactly. Yeah. And plus, I'm the plug. I'm moving so much. They want to help me get to something better.
Right.
So anyway, that went. They want to meet me again. So I go down again. And they took me, I went to Mexicali, but they took me somewhere else, and it was at a club/bar. No, club/restaurant. Goes in this restaurant, and B takes me in. We go to the back of the restaurant, and we sit at a table. We talk, and they're speaking Spanish. I don't know what they're saying. But the vibes were not good for him. They were really interested in me, and I could feel that. And he's answering questions, but then they get hot at him for some reason. But I found out later, they count your words. So if he asks me a question from them and I answer, and they think that I'm saying too many words, they think he's lying.
Performing on the biggest stage in the world was just one step in my journey. Hi, I'm Ronnie, and I teach people all over the world how to dance with their dogs on my website. I was searching for a platform where I can really manage my business, and I found that in weeks.
It's crazy. But anyway, it doesn't make sense, but makes sense later. So anyway, a guy comes in, a younger guy. He has on Gucci loafers, Gucci belt, Americanized, hair all spiked up and things, you know. But I just know how everybody started moving and acting around him. So I find out, I don't know which one, but I guess he was one. I don't know if he was one of the Tijuana brothers or one of their sons or something, but he was somebody, and he spoke to me in English. Hey, how you doing, man? What's going on? I'm like, whoa. He's like, we're looking forward to working with you. Wow. I'm like, well, looking forward to working with you. So
yeah, they know you're the responsible one. Like all of their, it just seems like this whole process is just a ruse to get all of these bums out of the way because they want to deal with you.
Exactly.
Because they know the money's going to come back right.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
Are you, were you like, God, this is surreal. Like I'm this like orphan that used to work in like Detroit crack houses, this black guy, never supposed to have nothing. And now I'm surrounded by a bunch of Mexican kingpins and cowboy hats. Like that must have been,
you know, Johnny, that's
something.
That never really came to me like that. And this is the reason why it never came to me like that. Because I had a fear of black bottom. I had a fear of that beyond imaginable poor. And I was more afraid of that. So whatever took me to ending that and never going back to that again, I don't give a. That's where I was at.
Yeah.
But I was starting to get it. The old sage of Marlowe and the different things. I'm starting to see it now in real time. I'm able to read it. I'm able to see it. And, so now I'm clicking and I'm noticing that I have a new skill set. And I don't speak the language, but I understand everything that's going on.
Yeah.
So we get back across, but at this time, my brother's calling me because he has a load coming in. He can't move it. So when I finally get across, he's like, man, I've been calling you and I was wondering what's going on. I know you're down there seeing your girlfriend, but for some reason, when I was calling you, a Spanish woman kept coming up saying like, because I'm over in Mexico. So my phone is registering over there. You calling me, the Spanish woman kicks in and say whatever in Spanish, but he don't understand it. So anyway, I get back. I think Frank said they cut the load down. It's like maybe like 1.5 tons. Get there, get rid of that quick. But now I'm going back down. Go back down. I meet with B. B tell me they're about to send a load up. So I get back. B comes back like a couple of days later, and they send another load up. Weed is better. So it's like 1 ton of this.
Okay.
But I'm noticing the weed had like a lot of white chalk on it. Because it's wrapped, and these bales were like 19 or 20 pounds, not 25. And it's wrapped in like black tape. I'm like, what the fuck is this chalk? So I grab it, I do this. I'm like, this cocaine. Wow. So these motherfuckers were shipping weed and cocaine up together. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And then the guy that drops it off, this guy, like, you can tell he's high as
yeah.
He's not even supposed to be talking. He's supposed to drop the van and get the phone. But now he wants to sit around and talk a little bit. And he's like tweaking, you know?
Right.
I'm like, oh, these guys are rogue, man. What the fuck going on? You know, so we get rid of it. And hey, my friend, I want to ask you something. You know, do you deal with the white? Do you like the white? No, I'm not interested in the white.
Hang on. So were they intentionally putting cocaine on the weed to make it better? Or was that a smuggling technique? Were you breaking the weed down and then taking the shards of coke and selling that? You see what I'm saying?
This is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, okay, now let me clarify.
Those economics don't make sense.
Because I think that you're thinking that.
Do y'all hear what they talking about, man? Them niggas talking about breaking cocaine down and putting it on the weed. So for a lot of you niggas that be smoking that shit, we understand why some of y'all ass be tripping out. But yeah, man, I'm about to get out of here though. I got something to handle real quick. Shit, I'm gonna be back later on. I'm gonna be back after 3 though. Appreciate y'all pulling up though.